Okay, so welcome back. What I'm doing now is, again, I had the last page 50 to 53 is uploading on to YouTube now, and again, we didn't set a timer, but again, you can kind of tell. I mean, for me, at 24 minutes, I couldn't even hardly read down here. So I got up for maybe around 5 minutes or so, and I played the violin a little bit, cleaned up a couple things, but anyway, so I'm actually getting it set now. Right now, I'm using my app. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but it says that I am. That's not really helping, is it? You can kind of see a little bit there. It's so tough when it starts reading backwards. There it is. It's kind of in the black. I just wrote, it says define. Oh, it went away now. So I wrote, there it is. So read pages 55 to 59, and then I go to next, and then we're going to go for, I can kind of slide that up and down, but I'm going to move it to 25. The reason it's so bad is I got a big light right above here to help. So you can kind of see there, 25 minutes. Oops. So then it says that, and she's going to say
starting time slice.
So then you can kind of see it's got a little thing. It's going there the whole time. It goes around and around. And then I can do some things. It's going to make some little sounds at us every 2 minutes. And that will just kind of remind us to make sure we're staying on task. So we're back to page, I guess we're actually at page 53. I was thinking, yeah, we're at 53. So kind of the end of 53. So when I put 54 to 59, it might have been a little aggressive, but we'll see. So again, we've gone over the twin. We've talking about the twins as far as identical twins or monozygotic twins. Let me repeat that. Identical twins are monozygotic twins, and then fraternal twins, not identical, are dizygotic. Because again, so the dizygotic means that the woman had two eggs, or could be, but anyway, she had two eggs, and then sperm each went there, and then on the mono means it just there's one egg, but then two sperm came in to develop that. Please tell me that's right. Yeah, and then that's there. Okay. So again, the dizygotic twins are a lot more prevalent, or twice more prevalent than the monozygotic twins, as far as one's 8 and one 8 out of 1,000, the other's 4 per 1,000. And a lot of times you're going to see a lot of dizygotic twins, especially women that are doing fertilization. Sometimes they'll have like these follicles, and it'll be, sometimes they could have 15 eggs or something like that, and especially if you get into like artificial insemination. So, and then from that point they'll harvest those eggs, and then sometimes you can even freeze the egg and the zygote. Remember, the sperm gets in there, it's a zygote, so they'll actually save those for years, and then when the lady's ready, they can be then they can be put back in, and then 9 months, 38 weeks later, there's the next two. How I know so much about this? Okay, and I'll tell you in class. So okay. Now we're at the chromosomal abnormalities. Okay, so every person is a carrier of at least 20 genes that could produce genetic disorders or disease in their offspring. again, Molnitzky, 1989. Could be a quiz question. Again, I say that. I mean, there's only 20, and that's something that, again, not necessarily, I mean, yes, obviously we're, getting prepared for Monday, but again, I'm trying to, maybe these things can help pull over to your other classes. And again, I'm sitting here doing this. You probably know more about this than I do, but anyway, hey, you got your study buddy on a exciting Saturday night at 6:47, so look out. There's our 2 minutes. See, I got sidetracked. Got to get back on it. There's the vitamin R working. The R means remind. Remind me to pay attention. So, okay, so back to the paragraph. So let's read through that together. I'm not going to say anything. So I'm writing here as far as, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and finish the. Okay, so let's go through that one a little bit. Again, think about it. So the first paragraph, lots of times too, a lot of that information is in the first paragraph, because if it's generally the first paragraph is going to be an introductory paragraph where it gives you the gist of most things. Again, but the problem is a lot of times as you get to your upper level classes, the professors, they expect you to get the gist of it. They want to know that you know the exacts of it, because remember, you're going to have to be explaining this to somebody, so you just can't it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, you really, and that's why it gets to sometimes the smaller things. But something I saw there definitely is again, as far as the genetic disorders, what's the most common? Is it caused by the recessive genes or the dominant genes? Okay, we look at the second sentence, and again, it says that many of these disorders are attributable to recessive genes, so that a person will not inherit a particular condition unless both parents are carriers of this disease. And again, it gets back to that table 2.1 that we mentioned in the our when we skimmed everything. So then however, Huntington's is caused by a dominant gene, but it's rare, it says. And then it talks about too, I didn't hear anybody say they wanted to be a genetic counselor, which I think is kind of cool. I think we definitely have some biology majors in the class, if I remember correctly, but that seems kind of cool. Well, I don't know if it's cool or not if you have to tell two people that fell in love because they've got these recessive genes they really didn't know they have, that they aren't going to be able to have children. But of course they can they can adopt. Adoption is a great thing. And it talks about reasons to get this genetic counseling, as far as if there's any genetic disorders in the family, or they've had miscarriages. Hey, we're paying attention. All right, so moving down. So again, now we're talking about defects caused in the chromosome. So we're on that second paragraph. So if the chromosome doesn't pair off correctly, that's when something could break off. So again, we talked about this in the overview, but again, the trisomy-21, or Down syndrome. All right, so I'm going to let you take a break. Trying to locate my DSM. There it is. So the DSM-5 here, right there, that's what we use a lot. And then if we go back here, and I'm looking for the kind of our index, it's intellectual something. So it's called. Okay, so instead of Down syndrome, we want to call this intellectual developmental disorder. What's that again? Intellectual developmental disorder. What's that? Intellectual developmental disorder. And then again, there's three kinds. And actually, again, here it goes. My mother works in human resources at a home in Rural Hall, North Carolina, which is near Winston-Salem, Kernersville, where I grew up. And so then now she works with a population that, they can't care for themselves. So I go to page 31, and you've got, so what they have, so my mother works for people that have what's called that 318.2 F73 profound intellectual developmental disorder. So intellectual developmental disorder, and you got four levels. Most of the time it's 3 in the DSM, but this has 4. So you got mild, moderate, severe, and profound. And then how you do that, you go through here. This is a little bit more. Some of the things you just pretty much ask questions, and if they have out of 9 questions, if they have 3 yeses that or would be mild, moderate, but anyway, so that's trisomy 21, Down syndrome, which is called what? Intellectual developmental disorder. IDD. Okay. And then, like you said, we saw that. Remember seeing that table on the next page? Pretty surprising, the difference as far as mothers. Again, and with the mothers having children later in life, again, this risk just really goes up. So then I am looking on page 54. So we're looking at the common genetic diseases and disorders. Again, this Tay-Sachs is it's a scary one. So those the children there it's 3 to 4 years old, and it's recessive genes. So what does that mean? That means that both parents have to have it. If one doesn't, the baby, the dominant gene, the baby would be fine. It's got to be both, and sometimes they don't even know. But then we're looking there at a there's tests for it. And then but just remember, look. So it looks like here. So again, just another tip. So we've got our table here. What's the only one that isn't recessive? It's Huntington's dominant. So you can kind of see that might be something that I would write down. And then basically just as I don't know if you need to necessarily remember don't worry about knowing the exact numbers, but be able to get pretty close. So pretty much over 30, we're going. So from 20 to 30, you're going from 1900 to 900. So twice the likelihood. In 10 years. So now don't if you read this, we don't need to have 25 pregnancies in class. Of course, you got the morning sickness and all that stuff, so maybe, that wouldn't be good. It'd be good for, having, good children. Anyway. All right, so then we're looking on the next page, page 55, and again, just something too. About 20% of children with Down syndrome die by age 10, but many live to middle adulthood. And I think where my mother works, where it's the profound, most of them live to about 25 or 30. And they live in that home, sometimes age, 4 or 5, all the way till they pass away at, say, actually until they die in their early 40s. So now we've got this Fragile X syndrome, and that's one of the leading causes of mental retardation and developmental disabilities. Remember, intellectual developmental disorder. It's caused by a single gene. It's more common in males than females. So 1 in 1,000 males to 1 in 5,000 females. And again, that's the opposite too, because remember back here where it said that there are 1,600 males to 1,000 or 100, to 1,000 females, but then, or 160 to 100, but then there's only 105 males to 100 females. So I'd probably write, again, we're talking about, so what causes intellectual developmental disorder is the Fragile X syndrome. Well, it's one of the leading causes, but it's caused by that single gene. So reading down. And another thing that would help you too is oh gosh, I don't know how to. Okay, if you look at towards the bottom of the page, the last paragraph before we start, from genotype to phenotype on page 55, you see that Hagerman and Silverman, 1991. Again, the sentence is, boys with Fragile X syndrome may display an unusual style of interacting with other people. They tend to avoid contact during conversation, and hand flapping or nail biting is common. Now again, you go back, what you can do sometimes is you can go back to your chapter 1 and you can look at as far as the different studies. What kind of study do you think he did? Do you think he was doing naturalistic observations or structured observation? Was he using time sampling? Was he using event? Was he doing where the observer may, so they're only interested in how many times they hand slapped, or hand flapped, I'm sorry, and then the hand biting, or was it a timed thing where, again, they checked off how many times the behavior happened at a determined time. So I'm guessing it's probably the second one there. So back to 55. We're not really doing good on our time, are we? So then, again, just trying to show you how to tie things together. Go back to remember that stuff, because again, chapter 1 is still going to be on that exam, but by continuously reviewing and using our scaffolding, building one thing after another, again, will hopefully help you keeping that fresh. So again, now the Fragile X, this is neat. It can be detected through genetic screening and DNA analysis. Down syndrome can also be detected, and older mothers are generally counseled to have prenatal tests to identify an unexpected chromosomal abnormalities. And again, that's where the counseling comes into play. And against whole views of pro-life or pro-choice. As far as if you know that, is what do you do? Do you it's going to take extra time to raise this child, if knowing that that's going to come out. Do you have an abortion at that point? It's tough things, of course. Again, as a counselor, it's not necessarily that you've got to make those decisions for people. You just kind of help guide them, give them the information, the stuff that is in this, a lot of the stuff that's in this book. And again, just one more thing about counseling. I could be working, and then just out of the blue, one of my clients that I've been seeing for drug and alcohol problems comes in and says this to me. And, again, that's where this information is valuable. Okay, so now we're going from phenotype to genotype. So then we kind of write that down on our sheet here. So again, so the genes a parent inherits from both parents for any particular trait makeup is his or her genotype. And the expression is the phenotype. That's where we got to the blonde hair. Okay. And then above, you can see the different types of prenatal tests that you might, again, familiarize yourself with as far as somebody's in your office. And again, it's okay not to know everything. Your people aren't going to expect you to know everything, but they come in and say, yeah, I just had an amniocentesis, and again, it's nice that you'd have an idea of what that is. Then again, we're looking at the bold, looking at page 56, the bold here, reaction range. So that's the person's unique, genetically determined response to environmental influence. So read through that.
Time slice elapsed.
Okay, and I guess you can kind of tell that I was almost done there, right? So then I say we experienced some flow there. So you can kind of see as far as I get to rate my focus. So distracted, good, highly focused. So I think I had some flow. We were on it, weren't we? So then, so now, again, it's got a thing like completed, incomplete. I think I said we're going to go to page 58, but we only made it to page 57. So, anyway. Oh, 59. Gosh, we didn't do well, did we? So taking 5 minutes. So you can do just kind of whatever you want to with your 5 minutes. Probably tired of this, but I do have
Starting time break.
So I got it's starting there. You really don't want to see me do the violin. It's bad. Maybe in a couple of weeks. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so let's I just kind of again, it's not that I don't want to do that. I just don't. Maybe I can get some feedback tomorrow or something if this is helping or not. But I'm just going to kind of run through and just give you just a bunch of stuff to mark off that you may want to focus on. Again, it's not like I have the quiz in mind, trying to trick you, doing anything like that. I just kind of going through and just seeing things that I see that again, obviously I see it. It would be more fair game than something I didn't. If I don't see it, I can't really expect you to see it. So again, that prenatal development, the 36 weeks. I would encourage you to understand.
Your break will finish in 3 minutes.
We're going to end the break.
Time break is over.
Time break's over. So then, so going through here, we got the maybe I'm just going to stop here. Then I'll do that. I'll just make another video. All the other pages. Any questions? Thanks.